I think what I learned the most from soccer was I got to do more. I'm talented, but I have to do more. And by the time I believe I really learned that, soccer was pretty much over for me. It was over for me at that point, in the sense of like playing pro. So if you ask anyone, my therapist, whoever, I will never make that mistake again of not giving it my all when it comes to something that I believe I can be like great at.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to It's the Bearded Man podcast with your favorite, the world's favorite bearded man, Bobbbaaaay. Each week with our guest episodes, I try to put the spotlight on someone who, in my eyes, has given themselves permission to live a life authentic to them. Our guest today is from Malibu, California. He's the co-owner and creative director of Elwood Clothing. Today on the podcast, fellow bearded brother, Justin Saul, baby. We here.
What's up? Yeah.
It's looking good, dude.
Yeah, it's good. It's not like yours, but
hey, it's better. It's better than nothing.
Yeah.
Dude,
yeah.
I wanted to wear my Elwood gear today, but I was a little nervous. So I'm going to be wearing it tonight when I go out, so I had to save it for later. And I definitely will be bulking up and getting some more gear in the coming weeks. But I watched every single episode of Off the Record, and something that is so clear to me about you is you are extremely passionate about what you do. And there is nothing more that excites me than getting a chance to bring on guests like you onto this podcast, because what I see outside looking in is like, you are in your flow. I think there was a moment in one of the videos where you're like, I literally like couldn't see myself doing anything else. And I think that is like the coolest thing in the world, man, when you can find that thing. And it's something I'm really excited to dive into today with you.
Yeah. Definitely. That's my number one thing. Freedom and being able to do something I truly love. It's huge. I honestly couldn't feel myself or see myself doing anything else besides this. So every day I wake up and so blessed to come into the office and I talk to people that work with me or for me or alongside me. And I preach that on a daily basis. We were just at Grand Central Market downtown. I had never been there with the team. We were shooting content. Another reason why I'm coming on something like this. First podcast ever. So
let's go.
Bear with me.
Taking the podcast V-card. Let's go.
Yeah. But literally just sat my team down and just really told them, how blessed I am to be working alongside them. But truly, we're sitting there making TikToks of us eating food and all this. And it's just like, I cannot believe we get to do this for a living, and truly I get to do this for a living, and seeing sales come through when we're eating a piece of pizza, it's pretty cool. And I've always wanted it, but now it's finally coming to real life, and it's fucking rad. Yeah.
Cool. I don't even think you realize it too. Watching I really, really am a big fan of the direction of this Off the Record, and this is something that's still very new to you guys, and I want you to keep doing more, which I think it's very clear that this is just the beginning. But you're natural in front of the camera. Like there's no even in the first episode, I can see and feel it. Like you're like you're born for this type of shit, and that's why we need more of this. Like you got to be on more podcasts, sharing your story, like just the YouTube stuff of like being in front of a camera and like documenting and showing behind the scenes, like it. As a new customer to the company, it actually makes me more interested in the company because I feel like I know your entire team. I see the details behind the scene of like the rounds of revisions in the clothing just to get to that final piece. Like it's really something special. And I think that's one thing that's very clear too, is that the team of people you've surrounded yourself with, it seems like every single person is not only passionate about Elwood and the mission, but they also seem pretty happy to be doing the thing that they do, whether it's the logistics, the photographers, the videographers, I think his name is Art, the actual guy that's like mapping out the actual designs. Like everybody seems to be in the right. The Russian assassin.
Yeah, that's a little thing. Yeah.
It's great. It's great. when did all this kind of become a realization to you? Because I know that even when you were at, I believe it was Chico State, you were already planning to come into the fashion industry. So like you grew up as somebody who was really passionate about soccer. When did you realize like fashion was going to be the place that you needed to get into at some point?
Yeah, good question. Casey was saying that you will come prepared with your questions. So good. I love it. I love that.
Let's go.
I love
He's hyping me up. Let's go.
He was. We were playing golf yesterday, and he's just like, yeah, he's a great podcaster. Like, he'll get you. Good question. David Beckham is my idol. He's always been my idol through soccer, then through fashion, kind of later on in my life. But, you know, he was the first real footballer to marry, you know, being really good at football, but then also marrying it with fashion and style, marrying Posh Spice, which was, I mean, a huge leap for his career and her career. So I would say when I was, I don't know, 14 or 15, I don't know, I started wearing Converse before people wore Converse. And I don't know, you know, everyone was wearing Etnies and DVS and Osiris and all those shoes. I started wearing Converse and kind of felt different. And it wasn't until, I don't know, 17 where I really started like dressing differently than other people and starting to feel like that was a way I could express myself. I could express myself always on the football pitch because I was always really good at it. And I probably was searching for other ways to express myself and get girls' attention or whatever it was at that point. And, you know, Bex always was the one that was like dressing the coolest off the field. So then I don't know, I just started putting things together and one thing led to another. And I was just like, whoa, I'm dressing different than everyone. Everyone is asking me about where I'm getting my clothing. Why am I wearing this, that, and the other? And then soccer in college was great. I was good. I was playing good. I didn't give it my all. And this is like the number one thing I always go back to. And I won't make that mistake in like the business world, but I didn't give it my all. I didn't try. All I cared about was game day and then the party after game day. That's really all I cared about. I was never training. And the end result, yeah. I was never training, never doing any of that. So, yeah, I don't know, 2 or 3 years into Chico, or 2 years, I only went there for 2 years. I was like, okay, what would I do if I didn't have football? And I don't know, I had been working for my best friend's dad for a bit and kind of was like, this is it. This is what it's going to be if I don't play soccer, even though my mind was still set on being a pro footballer, but definitely with the thought of being a designer or a creative director or whatever it was that comes along with what I wanted to do in the fashion industry. But yeah, I think that's kind of where it started. And then, yeah, it evolved into this. It's weird. I was talking to my girlfriend about this the other day. I've manifested this. I knew I was going to be doing this, like from a young age. I just didn't know along the realm of like, was it in fashion or was it owning my position on the soccer field kind of thing. I just knew I was going to be like really good and own one piece if it's on the field or if it was like off the field in the clothing brand. I don't know. I just had always felt that I would do something to this caliber or own something of my own. I never really thought of really working for someone or I don't know. I don't know. We were talking about that the other day, where it just never really crossed my mind.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Well, I even think when you're describing like the 17 and you're trying to stand out, whether it's like the fashion statement or I would imagine too, and that was through the research, like you've been getting inked up since when? When did you start getting ink?
Probably like when I was 17 or something. I went in and Did it? Yeah.
It was clean though. I mean, seeing your ink now, but just seeing how, like, even early on, you were getting it back then. So
Yeah.
even then, to me, what I'm seeing is somebody that is trying. How do I say this correctly? Like, you're just trying to differentiate yourself, and obviously, the pieces there's probably a whole podcast in every single piece and the story behind it. But when I'm seeing the ink at an early age, and I'm now hearing, like, wanting to, like, wear different things, and I'm almost curious, like, what the fashion statement was growing up in Malibu, like, Southern California. Like, I'm imagining Vans and, like, long pants and skateboards. But to me, it seems so obvious that even just from around that age, you've just always wanted to kind of just be your own and not necessarily follow what society is telling you the way to dress, or even deeper than that, what society might say, like, you're going to go to college, you're going to get a 9 to 5. Like, you've just kind of had this mindset of, like, I'm just going to do what I feel is best for me, and that's just who I'm going to become.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny you say that. I mean, all kids have gotten into it with their parents, but me and my mom have the best relationship. Love, hate, but I love her more than anything. And we were doing therapy I don't know, probably when I was like 16 or something. And, you know, that's a thing in Malibu. Go to therapy and it'll change your life, kind of thing. And I am a full believer in therapy now, of fully giving yourself to that therapist, essentially, and working on yourself and practicing the steps that they give you. I believe in that. But anyways, going back, it's funny that you say that my mom's therapist, I didn't have a therapist at that point. I did a little group session with them, and she said, Susan, that's my mom, he is going to do what people tell him. If someone tells him to do something, he's going to do the opposite. And that's who he is. And he will be fine, and he will this and he will that, but he is going to do that. And it's just, even to this day, if it's whatever, having to listen or this, and that's why I'm in this position, because I truly believe in my vision. But when people, like, start getting in between me and my vision, I can't operate like that. It's just not who I am. And I think that was a big issue in football, because I had a vision of what I wanted to do on the field. But if a certain coach wanted me to do something else, I'm not going to lie, I had trouble taking that, like, authority from that person. And that probably, and it makes sense, right? Because, like, it's a huge team sport. You got to be able to, like, listen and do all that. But I don't know. I think that was one of my reasons. And my ego was crazy back then. And now I've, like, worked on it in therapy and let it kind of subside, and own my flaws and own my insecurities of my own and everything like that. So I'm in such, like, a good place. But it's funny that you say that, because it's literally, if you tell me to do something, I'm probably going to go do the opposite of it. And
I love
it's
that,
worked.
though.
Yeah, it's worked. But you got to have, like, I don't know, you got to have, like, balls to do that, because society and the norms and everything like that. I don't know. But yeah.
How beneficial has it been to kind of kill the inner ego? I think that's a really important piece that I've seen happen for people that I directly know, where there was a lot of ego in them years ago, and through a magnitude of different reasons, they've kind of worked through it and come out a completely different person, that you can feel it, you can see it in the way they carry themselves. And I think to a certain point, like, you do need to have a little bit of an inner ego to take these leaps, to believe in yourself. Like, it comes at a balance, I think. So how has maybe balancing out that inner ego, or killing off a lot of it, benefited who you are today now?
Huge, immensely. Like, I can't imagine doing what I do today, running this business. I also do other things that we can go into later in the podcast, but I do not think I could be doing what I'm doing if I emotionally am not at the place where I'm at now. And I think I've struggled with so many things, as everyone has, kind of emotionally. Huge insecurities growing up. You know, everyone thinks growing up in Malibu, it's the coolest thing in the world. And don't get me wrong, it's unbelievable, but who you grow up around and what you're trying to be, it's crazy. You've got famous people here, you've got billionaires here, this, that, and the other. And, you know, I never understood that. I thought that was reality kind of growing up. Luckily enough, I played soccer my whole life, what we were talking about. So I was always able to be around different cultures and different ways of life, from financial incomes and ethnicities and everything like that. So I am a lot better than a lot of people from Malibu, in the sense of like not believing that this is just true reality. But as a young kid, that's really all I did see besides on the weekend somewhere. So being able to be exposed to that from a young age has definitely helped. But yeah, I think like after I graduated from college, I came back, got a job, and was just like, I don't know. I was like at the point in my life where soccer really wasn't going to do it. I was going to give it a chance, I guess, and see what happens. And, a couple pro teams were somewhat interested, and like at like a lower level than the MLS. And I was good. I was definitely good. But like I said, I didn't give it my all. So I started kind of seeing that fade away. I had the tattoos, like I had the look, but I didn't have the skill really to get to that next level. And that like emotionally like destroyed me inside, because I wanted to be Beckham. I thought I was Beckham, not going to lie. Like that was my ego. I thought I was him reincarnated, and here, Justin Saul in Malibu, California. And that's truthfully like, that was what I thought I was going to be able to do, be at the clubs, doing all this and that, and buying the cars and this. And hey, it sounds like superficial, but coming from Malibu, that's all I knew, where other people will have other things, right? Of coming from the inner city, all they want to do is be able to make it out or whatever. And, that's them. I'm not speaking for them. That's whatever they say. It's what I've heard. So it's all different. But yeah, growing up there, doing all that, and then being able, I would say probably in the past 3 years, being able to really work on my ego and let go of, I'm not that pro soccer player. I am not the richest person in the world. I don't have the perfect family by any means. I am not the best boyfriend at times in my past relationships. This one, I believe I'm unbelievable, and I'm really stoked on it, and I'm proud of myself for it.
I love the confidence.
Yeah. But I was never that confident, even in things like that. Like I might have come off as like a super confident person to friends and peers, but 2 years ago, even really struggling earlier this year, I think when the pandemic hit and everything and everyone's mind started going in crazy places, like I was in a really, really dark place 7 months ago. And, luckily enough, I have my family, I have Alyssa, and I have friends. And then I got in touch with this unbelievable therapist. And it wasn't just a therapist. It was time for me to own everything that I knew I struggled with and be able to work on that, address those issues, and come to terms that that's who I am, and these are the flaws within my life, and how do I deal with these flaws within myself and others that I love, and being able to come out on top. And it's been a lot of work, and I have so much to go, but like where I'm at right now, like I've never felt this mentally like stable, happy, and free. Like I truly feel free. I have it tatted on my neck.
Freedom. I seen that. Yeah.
Yeah. And
it's clean piece.
Yeah. It's truly like, I just want to be free. I work the best at that. I function the best at that. A lot of people want the structure. They need to be told what to do. they don't like that freedom. They like more of, you know, being told what to do or whatever.
Be here, do this, leave at this time.
Leave. And that's obviously just in the sense of like work, but I see it in relationships. People like to be told that we're going to go to dinner here tonight and we're going to do this tonight. And it's just never, I don't know. That's never really been how I've operated. So, yeah, I don't know. I guess back to your question. Yeah, I think it plays a huge part to where I'm at kind of today, and letting go of the inner ego. I still have plenty to do, but believe that I'm at a place where I've never been before, which is really rad to feel.
Whether it's going to the therapist or even just like having these inner conversations within us, that is in of itself the key to making changes. Just being self-aware to recognize like something isn't right. This needs to change. I need to make a change. Like, to take that step forward to go see the therapist or whatever that looks like. That is such a massive win that we all inside are scared to do, because we're just like, we're afraid to honestly look ourselves in the mirror and go, something is not right. I need to make a change, and I need to just make that change. But if you're able to be in that space where you're allowing yourself to be vulnerable, to go talk to somebody, straight up, this is like crazy timing, because yesterday was the first therapy session I've ever done in my life, and I loved it. Loved it. And it was more about me. It was me going into it because I've heard so many people talk about how positive it impacted their life for a magnitude of reasons of why they went to see a therapist. And I think it's just, we're now living in a society too, where you should talk about the things that are bothering you and feel like it's okay to do so. And I think that's one of the most beautiful things that we're seeing in society today, where it is welcomed. And especially my father's generation, you know, if you weren't the masculine man and keeping inside, you were soft and and people would just talk shit about you. But we are far from that place where we're at today.
Yeah, especially in LA. But then also, just like a side note of that, like, talking to the therapist about like the unbelievable things in your life too, right? I talk to them about how business has and how our Walmart business is, and like they're always going to give you ways to, okay, great, that's unbelievable. Like, try these tools that will help you maintain that business for years and years to come. So I think that's like sometimes the biggest misconception that I hear is like, oh, well, like, my life is great. And I mean, go on, someone has something to say always, but whatever.
Let's dig a little deeper.
Yeah. But okay, then just talk to someone that literally is not biased like at all. It's just they're just there to listen, and then they're there to give you some sort of professional help. But anyways, like, I talked to her about the craziest things, the lows of my life, and then like the unbelievable highs. And it's really someone just to bounce ideas off of with. I don't know. But anyways, I love it.
It's a very neutral. That's a great way to look at that. I think even before yesterday, I just imagined that therapy is a place for people that are having issues to go to talk about them. But you're completely right. It's also to talk about the great things in your life. And it's really providing you a neutral space to talk about things that are on your mind and to appreciate like straight up, it's just gratitude. Like, what is going good in your life? Like, how, like, taking that moment, because we're so guilty and caught up of just like constantly going, like, you had a drop today and it's like, all right, on to the next thing, get ready for next shot. But it's like, when you take the moment to slow down and actually go, look at how far I've come, look behind at all this journey that it's taken me to get to where I'm today. It literally just adds more fuel to the fire for you to go, if this is where I'm at now, like 3 months from now, 6 months from now, a year from now, like, shit's only going to be even better. So I think it even provides that space of gratitude, which has been, I have it tatted on I got this tatted a couple months ago. I need to get some sleeves like you. So, we got a couple little ones for now, but just seeing the word gratitude on a daily basis has forced me to, whether it's grabbing the mouse or eating some food or it could be a magnitude of different things, just trying to constantly almost like rewire my brain to stop looking at the negativity in my life or the things that I don't have or where I want to go and go, what do you have? How grateful should you be for the life that you live today?
Yeah.
And not get so caught up in where I'm trying to go. Cause it's easy.
Amen.
You just want to grow. You just want to grow.
Yeah. That's our mind. Yeah. Especially here, our friend group, and it's growth. That should be the fucking, that should be the clan
ships.
tag. Yeah. Rocket, grids, and growth.
Yeah, it's been unbelievable.
Yeah.
Whether it's been even going back to like the soccer days, I know surfing's a passion, you're skateboarding, or even just creative directing and building Elwood. How have you held yourself accountable to staying consistent? Consistency is without a doubt one of the most important aspects of becoming great at anything. So it's interesting you grow up with this passion for soccer, which I'm sure you're able to then just translate that consistency into everything you do creative directing wise. But how have you held yourself accountable to consistently show up over the years?
Yeah. Another great question by Bobbbaaaay.
Let's go, baby.
Yeah, I think growing up, I was very consistent at going to soccer, showing up, doing it, going through the motions. And that's how football always was for me until when I go play football on Saturdays kind of thing. Like it never crossed from like consistency to like diving in and doing more and growing upon that consistency. And actually caring, I guess, really at the end of the day. And yeah, I think what I learned the most from soccer was I got to do more. I'm talented, but I have to do more. And by the time I believe I really learned that, soccer was pretty much over for me. It was over for me at that point, in the sense of like playing pro. So I if you ask anyone, my therapist, whoever, I will never make that mistake again of not giving it my all when it comes to something that I believe I can be like great at. And I think that is one of the things that is translated from soccer that's taught me from the consistent side of things, like go and be consistent, but it's got to be more than consistency. I think that's a great place and start for it. But then like actually being consistent in doing the right things. Cause I was consistent at showing up to practice, but I didn't really fucking try at practice or do anything, but I showed up. So and that got me to where I wanted to be in soccer, into college and a scholarship and shit like that. But that's by no means going to get me to play pro. Didn't play pro. But so I guess moving into Elwood and understanding that I need to show up every day. That's number one. And the consistency of if it's here in the office or if it's at home, consistently going towards like my goal and the vision I set for the team, I guess. And yeah, I think consistency is huge. It's funny that you say this. I wrote an email to my team when I was in Hawaii, probably New Year's. I think I was in Hawaii New Year's, and it was ending up our first year of going through business after me and my business partner Jackson had bought Elwood. And I wrote, hey guys, it's been an unbelievable year. 2021, the word that I want to resonate with everyone is consistency. Consistency is the number one thing. If we are consistent with off the record, I've challenged my videographer. Look, we might not get the most views. We might not do this. If we are consistent with this for a year, I promise you, we will be in a position, and with our vision, we'll be in a position where we are happy and we're stoked. And hey, then we got to keep grinding again and keep doing it. And then I talked to my photographer. If we are consistent with what we're putting out into the world from what we truly believe in, we are going to be happy at the end of the day. And then into kind of every other facet of our business, especially to our manufacturing partners overseas, of like, We need the consistency of the product, because if my product gets to someone and they love it and it's consistent every time, we will, and I promise you, we will give you a garment that people love and that will continuously come back for. But it all starts from that, word consistency, but taking consistency to like another level, I guess. But yeah, I fucking use that word so much. It's crazy.
Well, it's impressive because you even talk about in the Off the Record series where you guys strategically consistently shoot at the same location for your drops.
Yep.
So that it's not like a change of scenery. People aren't getting caught off guard. It's also really important to note that the place where you shoot is very minimal, like it's white background. It's factory looking, but you're not, when you look at it for the first time, your eyes aren't getting caught up in like some crazy like artwork in the background. It's just you're solely looking at the clothes. But I think even just that minimal detail of like, we're going to consistently shoot at the same location every drop so that people see and feel the same aesthetic and the same vibe.
Yep.
It's just going to be a change of clothing line every time that it drops. So I think even that subtle detail is really important. But talk to me about you and Jackson. So it would have been 2020 when you guys went in to buy the actual company?
2020. Did you say 2020?
Was it 2020? Because you said New Year's you sent out was the first year in full business that you guys were owners.
Yeah, I think we bought it in May 2020. Okay. So it might have been like 6 months or something like that, or 7 or 8 months, whatever.
Yeah. So talk to me about that. Where I know you were working with Elwood before then.
Yep.
You were already an employee of the company.
Yep.
You guys partner up to purchase the company. What is the process of taking on a risk like that? To buy a company it's no joke.
Yeah.
I'm sure Elwood's been in business since like the 90s. So it's a very established brand.
Yep.
And to come up and say, all right, let's like take this over. Like, what's going through your mind as you're about to take on this massive risk?
Yeah. And it was crazy because when all this was like coming to fruition, is that the word? Right?
Fruition. Yeah.
Fruition. Yeah. My grammar is not the best.
Mine is terrible. So we are very much alike, my friend.
It was peak COVID, because COVID hit, and we were in talks with the garment manufacturer that we were buying it from. But like Jackson and I, there was the risk of taking it on during COVID. I think COVID hit us gnarly in March. We actually ended up buying in May, which it was still gnarly. We were in lockdown, and it was kind of like, okay, let's do it. Let's buy it, because Jackson and I we're good. I push for a lot of things, and he kind of brings me back and kind of like says, okay, well, what about this, Justin, if like this doesn't work? And then I go, okay, cool. And we need that. And it's really good. And our dynamic, is getting stronger kind of every day. But Jackson, people are at home. We know people want this shit. We just launched something before we had bought it. It did amazing with this new kind of look and idea. Let's go after this. And he would be like, okay, but what if USPS shuts down and we can't ship packages? Because during that time, no one fucking knew what was going on. We still don't even know what's going on. But at that point in time, it was like, okay, Walmart and Target were open, grocery stores were open, everything else was closed. So was that going to happen to USPS? Okay, that happens to USPS. We get all these orders, then we have to give them back money, and we go out of business. Because it's not like when Jackson and I were buying the company, it's not like we were putting in a huge amount of capital, right? It wasn't that. It was the capital to buy the company and kind of put some other stuff in there just to kind of get it going and go from there. So it was scary, but I talk to my girlfriend about this all the time, and it's great that I have Jackson. But I never thought it wouldn't work. There wasn't one doubt in my mind that it wouldn't work. I always tell people when they come into my office, it's weird that I mentor like some people, because I was little JJ that never could do it. like I was in special ed and like, you'll never do anything and this, that, and the other. But I always tell everyone, you just have to manage your expectations of like, what is good, like what is good to you. And my expectation for this was just selling some product and slowly but surely growing a brand that people fucked with. Taking over Elwood was the one thing I was scared of, was could I turn in a brand that used to be this, then was this, and now is going to be this? Could I make that brand something that I truly stand for and that people fuck with? And a year and a half into it, off this drop today, like we are seeing that people are really fucking with the vision, and which is really cool. I think that was my only roadblock in all of this, was can my vision get rid of the past, if there even is a past? And there really isn't. People do like it. I was just working for it and saw what it was and the quality that we were using. It wasn't up to my standard. It wasn't the vision that I wanted. So that was the biggest fear for me. It had nothing to do with like putting money into it, buying it, whatever it may be. I knew it was going to work because my expectation wasn't, I wasn't trying to build the next Nike in 3 years. Like I don't have that expectation for Elwood, and I probably won't ever have that expectation for Elwood. Maybe I'll go build the next Nike, but not under Elwood. But I think, yeah, anyways, like, yeah, it was scary, but that's where that little ego is still with you of like, there was no doubt in my mind that we would be at this point. Yeah.
And that's the mindset you need to have, because especially being in a leadership position where you're having people that are looking to you for advice or questions, like if they see that you don't even believe in where you guys are going, how are they ever going to believe in it? So that energy and the way you carry yourself is going to carry off onto your team and everybody else.
Me and Jackson, we talk about this in other facets of our life, but it is so true. If they smell fear, those that work for you or look up to you, it's game over. It is game over, and the sharks are going to come and get you. And I mean, again, that's where I am today. Who knows? Down the road, if we're starting to struggle, like, I don't know. I don't even foresee that. I just like, I think, there was no real doubts with it. It was just like, I met with Jake, obviously, and
legend,
yeah.
Jake Casson, founder movement for those listening. Legend,
cool guy. Met with him at Air One almost 2 years ago now.
Never been there before.
Yeah, I know. And said, yo, Jake, I have this vision. I really want to do this. Work at Elwood. I think I'm going to leave and start my own thing. I believe in it. And he's like, he was actually the one that said, well, if they're not treating Elwood the way Elwood should be treated, why don't you just try and go buy it from them? And I was like, well, what about the brand? Like this, that, and the other. And he kind of said, obviously Elwood was a brand, but it was never like a Nike. It was never like the biggest brand in the world. It was a little skate brand, and then it was acquired, and then it turned into kind of like a fast fashion kind of lane. But it was never like huge. It was never like a movement or anything like that. He's like, Jay, most of the people that are going to see your vision, they're going to be your customer from right then and there. All the other ones in the past, if they don't want to be your customer, so be it. Put what you believe in and go after your vision. While if you buy Elwood, you've got, I think at that point we had 60,000 followers on Instagram. We had 100,000 people on our email list. So he's like, buy that. If anything, buy the foundation there. And if you truly believe in yourself and your vision, just do it. And I promise you, it will work if your vision works, essentially, and you believe in it. And that's funny because like he was literally, I left Air One. I called Jackson. This is like me in a nutshell as you get to know me more when we hang out outside, like it's like, okay, I'm doing it kind of thing. And like with golf, like I fucking play golf every fucking day now. And I called Jackson. Jackson was working at Mad Happy at the time.
Oh wow, I didn't know he used to work at Mad Happy.
Yeah, so he was helping them with like production and setting up their whole domestic kind of production, whatever stuff. And I called him and I said, "Yo, would you be interested in buying Elwood?" And he's like, "What?" And I was like, "Just hear me out. Like, I'm gonna leave, but I think we can negotiate a way to like buy it. Do you want to buy it?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'd be down." And then I literally drove then to my old office, sat down with the partners and said, "Hey, me and Jackson want to buy Elwood. Let's talk about this." And 6 months later, then we ended up buying it. But literally it was that fast, but it was because I was going into that meeting with Jake already thinking I'm going to leave and start my own thing. So yeah. So it was fast. But that's how it went down, really. But that's how it works. When I believe in something, you can ask Alyssa. She freaks out sometimes. But when I believe in it, just go.
That's a really good skill set to have. I'm very much the same, where when I tell myself like this is where I want to go, there's no negotiating, there's no question. Like when I think back on my life, even to the smallest things to then the biggest goals that I've been able to achieve myself, once I lock my eyes on something, it's non-negotiable. Like you're not going to be able to steer. You can throw up as many like hurdles and challenges along the way, but when I lock my eyes on something, I have to get it. Like I have to do it. And that's like, so much of that is really just listening to your inner gut, of being able to block out the noise of, there's probably people that you probably ran the idea by, like, why would you want to buy Elwood? Like the brand's been in business for X amount of years. Like it got acquired. Like there's always going to be these people outside that are going to offer their opinion, but you have to go internal and say, what do I really want to do? Do I actually believe in this vision? And if so, then I got to move forward with it. But what's also so interesting now, hearing kind of the Elwood aspect, is to me, you recreated your identity as the soccer player to then creative director. And you've also been in the process of recreating the identity of a brand, where you're saying the way you described it, because I really didn't know Elwood until I knew of you. And so to hear that it's had its multiple phases of change, and then now it's on like this new phase, what have you learned about that aspect of whether it's recreating your own personal identity or a business identity? Because I think a lot of people resist change because they are afraid to do something new, to recreate themselves. They've been working one job for 20 years and they don't love it and they know it's time to move on, but they're like, well, what else am I going to do? What's the key to recreating the identity?
Having a vision, whatever that may, and that might not be having a vision of owning your own brand, but having a vision of like what you want your life and daily kind of activities to be. And if that's working a 9 to 5, then that's working a 9 to 5. Maybe it's at a different company that allows you to have 30 days off instead of 15. I don't know, depending on that, but just having like, a vision of what you foresee your life to be, and like then just going for it. And I think that obviously is huge, and people are in financial issues that they cannot leave their 9 to 5 job because they can't go pay for themselves, their family, their children. So there's so many obstacles that go into it, and fully aware of that. I have seen that through family members. I have seen that through mentors of mine, of like truly like, what are you going to be fucking happy doing at the end of the day? And with obviously taking into concern and like, you need to make money to live in this world too. So I totally feel that, but from a young age, like I've said, I was never going to do something that I didn't want to do. But that was part of my ego that has allowed me to get to that point. But no, like I didn't even like think that I would ever like be doing like a 9 to 5, or that wasn't like in my mind. So I don't know. I've challenged people that come to me all the time of like that are young that can take on risk, because that's the biggest thing, risk management. My guy George, love him, out in New York. He like does like wealth management and stuff, but he is such a firm believer in like risk management, obviously on the money side, but I always take like the risk management into like my personal life and my everyday life. But yeah, I think like young kids, if they can, like go and do something that you're going to be happy doing, and you are going to make more money than you would be doing something you hate, with an expectation, right? Like if you want to be a stockbroker or whatever, like if you don't want to be a stockbroker, but you're smart and you went to Harvard and that's where you're going, and yeah, you're not going to like recreate that like $1 million a year that you're going to go make doing something you love, but you'll be 10 times happier probably doing something you love, which in return will help grow yourself, like I don't know, like mentally and physically, rather than just being stuck doing something that you hate, I guess. I don't know. I'm all for just like going and doing what you love, I guess.
I think the risk management is the key though. It's like, if you're not happy with where you are today and you need to make these changes, like you have to accept the fact that it's not going to happen overnight. Like if you have bills to pay and you're not in a position where you have financial ability to just take a leap and leave, like, yes, you might want to do that immediately, but at the same time, it's like, you still can make these changes. You just have to trust the process of that day to day. Like, you know, I don't know how much of your story you know about me, but I drove Uber for 3.5 years full time out in LA while I was building my creative career. And it's like, in the time of it, it felt like eternity of driving Uber every single day. But I have to look back on it and honestly say, like, I made the best of it. I'm a fucking extrovert. So like I was having a field day, like driving Friday and Saturday nights, bringing people to the club. I was like, how am I getting paid to do this shit? Like I would do this for free. So, but all that to say, like, while I was grinding and trying to build my career and trying to find that next pivot, I just kept telling myself, this is where you are today, but this is not where you're going to be in the future. This isn't a long-term plan. You're going to find your way out of it. And so I think that's almost like the key is like, even if you are in a position where you got bills to pay, you can't really take the leap just yet, keep that mindset of like, what's the next step? Like it doesn't happen immediately, but where could I be in 6 months, a year from now? Like, what does that vision look like? And then remind yourself every day when you're punching in on the job that you don't like, or you're studying for the exam that you don't really care to study to major in. Like, it's just being awareness that in of itself is just the key sometimes of like, you might not love what you're doing right now, but at some point you will be in that position of doing the thing you really want to do, as long as you're telling yourself that's where I want to go. And then, you know, looking for those small little steps along the way that will get you closer to where you want to be.
Yeah. And taking that risk, the risk before you're 50 years old with fucking 4 kids and a mortgage, and it's gnarly. Like, it's gnarly. You see it every single day. And I mean, but then again, like, people don't think like how essentially like we think. Like, they're totally chill with it. That's what they like to do. All right, I got to do this. I'm going home. I'm kicking it with the kids, and they're more of the time happier than people like us too. So there's not like right or wrong. You're just like addressing your question of like being able to kind of take that leap, I guess. If you're willing to do it and wanting to do it, you got to take it when you're young, for sure, or else you'll just be kicking yourself in the ass. But if you dig it and you love doing the 9 to 5 and grinding and doing that and going home, and which you have the weekends off, like, fuck yeah, power to you.
More
and
power.
Yeah, just kill it and grind. I don't know. Yeah. But that just wasn't for me. And yeah, I don't know.
What's been one of the biggest mistakes you've made with Elwood, and what did you learn from it?
Not doing it earlier.
Buying it earlier.
Yeah. Yeah. So what? I'm 29. I bought it when I was 27. I guess that would be something along those lines.
And how old were you when you started working at Elwood?
Elwood specific, probably 24.
Wow. So you were with the company for 3 years before you bought it.
Yeah. And I wasn't really involved much. There was other like designers, there was other people doing it. That was another reason, like, yeah, I didn't believe in the vision at all. So I probably wasn't like the best employee, to be honest. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, yeah, as I like look back at it, obviously I've done like great for the company outside of Elwood.
Totally.
But with Elwood, I probably was a fucking pain in the ass because I didn't care, because I knew what could work, but there were so many layers to get through to be able to do it. It was tough. But that's probably my biggest thing of like not buying it or just starting this earlier, because I've had this vision for years, for a very long time. Yeah. But also I agree with like what's that fucking saying? Like, timing. It's all about timing, I guess, right?
Totally.
I wasn't ready to own a company then. Not even fucking close. Like,
boom.
I was a mess. I was a fucking mess. And
yeah,
I could have never managed employees, been there for my employees, both professionally and outside of the office. Like, you know, I physically couldn't have done that. Like, I was a fucking mess. But now I'm here and I feel great. But I guess if anything, it would be like starting something earlier, but then also like probably couldn't have, and I probably wouldn't have had the recent success that we've had then. Probably not. I probably would have like not shown up to work or something. I don't know. Like, with anxiety, like I still get it, but I used to get crazy anxiety where I wouldn't go to work. Like when I was working at Elwood or with the other company, like I wouldn't, I couldn't function. It was like full, it took over my body. And again, like talking about a therapist, that was happening early this year. And that's where it was kind of like, I cannot live like this, but I cannot live like this and run a business. And who am I to be that selfish, to employ people, to put out some great content and this, that, and the other, but then not be able to back it up on my like mental and emotional end, because that's what a lot of it takes. And like, trust me, I struggle with it still. But yeah, like yeah, I couldn't have done it. Like, no, probably no way.
Yeah. The timing is one of the most important things in life, whether it's career, relationship. I mean, literally everything under the sun. And even something that I've told myself over the years, and I was having a conversation recently with somebody of like, I'm, you know, whether it's you wish, you know, hindsight's 2020, maybe you wish you would have bought the business earlier, but then it's also like, was I ready for it? Same way I look at it as like within my own podcast career. It's like, do I wish I blew off the second episode? Yes. But would I have been ready for success? Would I have been ready for high level conversations? No. So it's like my mindset always been, the longer it takes me to get to these goals, to these dreams, to whatever it looks like, the more prepared I'm going to be for when I finally reach the destination or whatever that might look like.
Yep.
So I think you have to look at timing in the perspective of like, it's working for you. It's not working against you.
Yep.
All these years of you like behind the scenes, whether it was just learning the true side of like running a business, or really a lot of what this conversation has been about is like the personal growth. Like maybe you wouldn't have been in the right headspace back then, which is to show up and not only run the business, but like you're like we were talking about earlier, like your employees or people that are contracted by you are looking to you as like the guy,
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
how do I, what's the direction? Where are we going? And if they
Yeah.
see you crumbling, it's just going to ripple to them.
Yeah.
What's
Yeah.
with managing a team, what's like one of the keys that you've learned with being a leader?
Listening, 100% listening. I struggle with that sometimes and talk over people because I'm so eager. I love them, but it's just who I am. But listening, for sure. Yeah, listening and being fucking nice and like telling them thank you and great job. When I was working, like sometimes you get that, sometimes you don't. And hey, some people say like, oh, it doesn't matter. It's like, no, it truly does matter. It really does. And I believe it affects people. I believe saying thank you and being nice and being there and an ear, a shoulder to lean on at times or whatever it may be can go further than giving them a bonus in like commodity money.
Yeah.
And I'm a firm believer in that. I also believe bonuses are unbelievable, but truly that. And everyone that we hire here, I always tell them like, you'll see what this environment's like. And like, it might not be what you like. I haven't had someone like that yet, but it truly might not be because we're not like a typical, like, we're kind of like how I treat my people, my employees, my coworkers, like they're family to me and they truly are. And, I think that's been the number one thing that I've learned is like, listen and be fucking nice because they're trying their hardest and they're grinding. And yeah, it's all you can really ask. I'm also a firm believer on like, I tell people, employees, contractors, factories, what needs to get done. And if it doesn't get done, the only thing is like, hey, we're not meant to be together. We'll go figure it out somewhere else. You're still going to do great somewhere else. I'm going to find someone that's going to do great what I want them to do. Like, I think that is something like going back to relationships. I've tried to mold people into my life. And I also was never going to make that mistake at work of trying to mold someone to believe in the vision, to get along with the team and all that jazz. So, yeah, it's crazy how like you take shit from the past you don't even like really know, but then it like goes into the future in your life. But yeah, being nice, that would be just being nice, listen, thank you, great fucking job. And yeah, I mean,
money comes and goes, but to make people feel good and feel appreciated and feel like they're part of something bigger, that emotion and that feeling is priceless, and it can literally make the day. And it can, you don't know what's happening behind the scenes of somebody, what they're thinking or what they're going through. So like those little things like really do make a difference. And I think people really, really do appreciate it.
Yeah, that makes the biggest difference to me. And obviously, like everyone wants to make money. Trust me, I get it. But
totally. It's a balance.
There's a balance, and there truly is. You can throw money at someone. Obviously, again, the expectations of money. If you're going to go throw them millions and millions of dollars, they're probably not going to leave, right? But if you're going to give them a 20% raise, which is maybe normal at a company, they're still probably going to leave if they fucking hate working for you or hate their time there, I also think a huge thing is being self-aware and not oblivious to people can go, people can leave, people can find another job and be very fucking happy and good at it. So I think that's a huge thing as owning a company. Like, I believe Elwood is great. I believe the culture that we're growing here slowly is unbelievable. But who the fuck am I to say that the person down the road sewing up garments isn't better than us, right? And I'm so self-aware of that and like truly I'm truly like myself when it comes to like my employees. So it's like, what you see is what you get. You're going to sometimes have to deal with like my ups and downs and like, okay, we are doing this and that's what's happening. But at the end of the day, like, look what's selling on Instagram. It's influencers. It's authenticity. People want to be able to relate with their people and influencers. And I want my employees, coworkers, factories to be able to relate with me and truly understand what's going on in this thing, because not a lot of people do. But yeah, I think being self-aware, like, fuck, it's a fucking big one. And
yeah,
sometimes me and Jackson talk about it all the time, like taking a step back and being like, okay, like, yeah. Anyways, being self-aware, like, has been huge. To be self-aware, you got to let go of ego. That was one of the things that helped me get to being where I'm at. But yeah, I was not self-aware. I probably treated people horribly. I did, and didn't even think twice about it because my ego was there. I didn't know anything better. That's what I thought was reality.
When you combine self-awareness and authenticity, it really allows somebody to step into their absolute power.
Yep.
But also having that mindset of like recognizing like, hey, if somebody wants to leave this company and go somewhere else, like to not take it personal or to not like feel some type of way, to literally like wish them greatness and, like, hey, thanks for everything you've did. Like,
yeah,
you just don't know how the world could full circle. And like, you want them to be a representative, like proudly being able to say like, yeah, I worked for Elwood for 3 years and it was great. And I learned everything I need to learn. And now this is why I'm here, or how I got to where I am today. But that mindset of it's the letting go. You can't control. There's only so much you can do that's going to really keep people around. And if they are in their mind, like want to leave, like the money's not going to become the thing that really keeps them around. So I think that's a really good perspective to have.
Yep.
We're going to get into the final 5 now. So these are the last 5 questions, 1 sentence answer for each question.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah.
First one. How can people learn to give themselves permission to follow their interests and ideas?
Say that again.
How can people learn to give themselves permission to follow their interests and ideas? So for context, I think a lot of times people are afraid to do the thing they want to do, whether they don't have the courage, their friends and family, might question them why they want to start that idea or pursue this passion.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're seeking permission. So how does one give themselves that permission?
Start with a mentor.
It's good. That'll change your perspective.
Mm.
It's great. Number 2, if you could go back and tell yourself one piece of advice at any point in your life, what would it be and when?
Good question. Fuck.
Any moment in your life.
It wouldn't be an exact moment. It would be when I was 14, 15, 16, maybe around that time, 15, 16, of like, don't give up. Like, or work hard or something. Maybe work hard would be that answer.
It's great. What's a area of your life you need to put more effort into?
My physical well-being, like working out and shit.
Oh, we're gonna make that happen. We gotta get you in for JT's gym sesh. We'll get you some hot yoga.
Tell me about it. I'm on the thing. They hate me. I got to do it. So that I would say that
super important. What is the first step anyone can take to reaching their inner potential?
Believing in yourself.
It's good. If somebody has listened to the last 64 minutes of this podcast, what is one challenge you have for the listener today? As they wrap up, they finish listening to this podcast. What is one challenge you have for the listener today?
Are you happy?
Mm.
Yeah.
Ask yourself the question.
Yeah. Ask yourself the question and see what that even like brings to you. You might be like, yeah, I'm fucking buzzing, or like, no, I'm not at all. And then with what we talked about, and I'm not a fucking psychologist, and you aren't either, but like, then take the steps to get happy, because fuck, it's so liberating to be happy and free, even if it's just free, like emotionally and mentally. Fuck, it's a cool feeling.
I know. We were talking about this last night, of just the hamster wheel of society, where it's just this constant running gun of like, you work all week, the weekends come, you want to let loose, you want to decompress from all the hard work. Saturday, Sunday, back to Monday, and it's just this constant wheel. So it's very easy to keep ignoring a question like that. Like, am I truly happy? I'm not gonna worry about it. I'm going to the concert tonight. All right.
Yeah,
I gotta go to work.
I
gotta go to the gym.
Yeah. We're going to the club.
Yeah.
Getting fucked up. Yeah. No, for sure.
And that's in of itself. It's like, are you going to the club to escape your reality? Or are you going to the club because you want to celebrate the life you're living? It's a whole nother rabbit hole for another day. For
sure, dog. For sure. I agree.
So important. Justin, this has been such a great podcast, man. Like, the fact that this is, and I really genuinely mean this, the fact that this is your first podcast, one, is an honor, because I love the ability to bring somebody in for their first podcast, but I don't even think you realize how great of a speaker you are, and how, in the sense of a communicator, like, you can really express yourself. And I think that's, it's also probably been from years of you working on yourself, of like knowing who you are and confidently being able to speak on things that aren't really all that easy to talk about publicly and to share. And so, this has been a really great conversation that I think a lot of people are going to have a lot of takeaways from, even just like hearing some of your journey of like the soccer, then into like the creative directing, the taking on risks, to really just your process of figuring out who you are, whether it is killing the inner ego or just a magnitude. It's so clear to me that, like, and I said this in the beginning of the podcast, you are literally like doing the thing you're supposed to be doing in this world. And that's the entire point of these podcast episodes with guests, is like to shed light on people like yourself who have given themselves the permission to do the things they want to do, and who are living like a true, authentic life to them. And it's clear you've been on this path since like 16, 17, when you were trying to be the young David Beckham. But it's been an honor, man. And this has been a really good conversation, man. Yeah, I appreciate it. I'll do it again. This is rad. I had no fucking clue I could speak for this long. But I appreciate you letting me on, and really, really stoked on this. Yeah. It's great, man. It's great. Cool. Ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed this podcast today, please, please, please screenshot this episode on whatever platform you are listening in on. Post this podcast to your IG story. Tag Justin. He is at Justin Saul _. That's JUSTINSAUL _. Tag me at Bobbbaaaay. That's BO, 3 B's, 4 A's and a Y. Share out the podcast in your IG story. Let us know, what was the biggest takeaway? What did you learn? There was a lot of different topics that we covered today. So please let us know, what was the learning? What was the perspective change? How did this episode help you? Also linked up below, I will have Elwood Clothing. Their website is elwoodclothing.com. Their Instagram handle is Elwood Clothing, ELWOODCLOTHING. Like I said, all that will be linked up below. I also highly recommend, if you are into YouTube content, behind the scenes content, if you're a young entrepreneur, you need to check out their Off the Record YouTube series. It's really great. It's about 12, 15 episodes out probably right now. Yeah, 13. Really great. They're pumping along. But please check out that content. Is there anything else I should be plugging up for where people should go? No, you fucking did it. I appreciate you a lot. Let's get it, baby. Justin Saul, thanks for coming on the podcast, brother. You're welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the Bearded Man Podcast. See ya.